So self-service analytics has long been touted as a way to scale business intelligence, but what does that actually mean in practice?
I think it means different things to different people, and a lot of very smart people think it's completely non-existent. And a lot of other people that maybe are not as smart, like myself, but have opinions, think that it is a different frame to have on how normal humans should consume the product that analysts, data scientists, and data engineers produce. So, and I think it's a perspective shift that I think is deeper than it is like a vendor like buzz or brand. I think the core idea is people tend to not have single questions. So, you have something that is the sales performance of a product by quarter. Now, most normal people don't look at that and say, cool, I'm done. There isn't really a moment where you're like, this was a beautiful dashboard. Thank you so much for having built it. You deserve a raise. Typically, it's like, oh, interesting. What happened in this region? Or does this look the same across all sales reps? Or is this the sales thing even working? Should we pivot the company? And that typically those questions, which I'll just euphemistically say questions 2 through 20, get asked. And it's your choice as a data practitioner or as someone who's running a data team. Do you want to have those questions come back to you as ad hoc requests? Or do you want to factor that into how you conceive of the shape of analytics you deliver? So I have a horse in the race. The horse is basically like, your tool should let your users ask questions 2 through 20 without having to harass a human. So that's self-service analytics.
That is very true, that there are very few business problems or business questions that can be answered with just a single question. You need that sort of level of iteration. So go on, talk me through, has it got easier to be able to do that where you're asking 20 questions in a row and it's a normal person doing this without some technical input?
Absolutely. I mean, I think if you zoom out some, let's say from the 70s onwards, there's just been the stair step of, the forward march of progress has brought us much easier to use tools. If you were doing this in the 1970s, you're writing, Algol or COBOL or something horrific. You're using some crazy proto driver. You're using a pre-SQL API to pull all this data out. The 80s brought SQL. Then you got spreadsheets. At some point, you got Tableau, which, for all that we're a competitor, did some amazing things to really reduce the complexity of asking questions. And I think that the average skill level required to productively ask any question in data space has just ticked down decade over decade for the last 50 years, or probably more, honestly, if you go back further. For a whole list of reasons, I look at the world as pre-SQL, post-SQL. So my window ends 10 years before SQL was introduced, give or take. But yeah, I think that today people have much more data, much more context, much more understanding of what's going on inside of an organization than they did 10 years ago. And some of that is the proliferation of just reporting as a thing in every tool. And some of it is that the tools we're using both to collect data, to shape it into a way that's intelligible, and then to pull it out have improved generation over generation. And if you fast forward 6, 18, 24 months, I do think the proliferation of natural language interfaces to data is going to increase. And that increasingly, you can just ask the damn computer, hey, what happened in February? And you'll probably get a crazy answer today. But in 24 months, you'll probably start getting some, a viable, sophisticated answer that the average human can just roll with and ask questions 3 through 20 at that point.
Okay, so here, the big change is really generative AI then. And I do agree with your point that things are getting a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, not generative AI, go on.
I mean, I'm way more excited about tool using agents than I'm about generative AI, personally. So I think it's still LLMs, we're still discovering all the weird and wacky things you can do with a large language model. I still think that the problem of hallucinations and random crap coming out of the other side of the generative process is very real. I do think that most of the current players in the space are too enamored with demo mode as opposed to actual real life question answer mode. But the writing's very, very clearly spray painted on the wall. And, we are definitely going to reach a point in quarters, if not year, probably not years, of like, hey, I just want to talk to the computer and have it tell me things. So I think that, we are in the process of, at minimum, a shift similar to the introduction of the mouse, where you had a bunch of software that was the pre-mouse area to type things and memorize keyboard shortcuts and keep a little set of notes about like your favorite set over here, and so you memorize them. So a world where like you just click on things. And so I think similar to how there's transition from I have to memorize a bunch of commands to I can just click on things happen. We're going to have from click on things to click on things and like talk in natural language or talk in natural language to the computer. So I think that one's baked in, but I don't think that, if I can toss it, a grade in the punch bowl, I think this whole like thing of like, let's generate SQL based on natural language is like not the path to go down.